There comes a time in every man's journey when he must decide what kind of life he is willing to accept. Not the kind of life handed down to him by the world, not the paycheck scraped together by the hour, not the mere existence fed by other people's approval, but the kind of life that is built, earned, and commanded from within. There is a massive difference between the man who chases money and the man who becomes it. The first one runs, the second one attracts, the first one begs, the second one decides. The first one believes money is outside of him, hidden in banks and wallets and checks and clients. The second one knows that money is a reflection of the man himself. You must rewire your very belief about money. Stop seeing it as something that exists somewhere else. Stop treating it like a prize at the end of the maze. It was never outside of you. It's an echo, a mirror, a consequence of who and what you are. The mistake most people make is they keep looking for the dollar when they haven't built the foundation for the dollar to find them. You don't get rich by chasing. You get rich by becoming a walking embodiment of value, a breathing solution, an unstoppable force of energy and direction and certainty that pulls money into orbit like gravity. Money responds to power, not the kind of power that dominates others, but the kind of power that dominates self, internal authority, emotional control, vision anchored in belief. That kind of power is magnetic. It cannot be ignored. You don't have to shout when you have it. You don't have to sell yourself when you carry it. People feel it. They sense it. They move toward it like a moth to a flame. Because the world is filled with people who are starving for direction, desperate for solutions, craving something solid in a world of illusion. And when you become that, when you stand as the one who knows who they are, what they do, and why they do it, then money comes. But here's the secret the masses will never understand. Wealth doesn't chase, it waits. It waits for the man who is ready to receive it. And readiness isn't about desire, it's about development. It's not about wanting the lifestyle. It's about building the character. Everyone wants the money. Few are willing to become what money demands, because money has no interest in the mediocre. It rejects the unfocused. It escapes the untrained. It disappears from the lazy. You cannot just wish for money. You must become worthy of it. Wealth is not the result of what you're doing. It's the consequence of who you're becoming. You must become the man who no longer asks for money, but who creates it wherever he goes. Not through gimmicks, not through tricks, but through undeniable value, through rare discipline, through unmatched intensity. When you step into a room, your presence should speak before your words do. Your posture should tell the story of a man who's not here to impress, but to deliver, a man who's not interested in quick wins, but in eternal principles, a man who's not concerned with fitting in, but with rising above. You want to stop looking for money, then stop begging for validation. Stop pretending to be small. Stop measuring your worth by the opinions of those who aren't even in control of their own lives. Your value does not come from applause. It comes from mastery, from repetition, from waking up before the sun and grinding in the dark, from doing what most won't so you can live like most can't. Value isn't something you slap on a resume. It's something you breathe. It's something that radiates from the depth of your soul when you've paid the price in silence. And money recognizes that. You have to think like the bank. Think like the investor. Think like the force behind the money, not the one begging at its gates. Because the truth is, the money you want is in the hands of those who are looking for value, not for excuses, not for emotional instability, not for uncertainty. They are searching for someone who can solve problems at a level most can't even comprehend. They are searching for trust, execution, certainty, and clarity. And if you don't embody that, you will always be chasing. You'll always be stuck in the race, always hustling, always grinding, but never arriving. Don't chase the check, become the check. Become the reason someone else gets clarity. become the reason someone else wins. Become so undeniable in your presence, your skill, your execution, your results, that people feel richer just by standing next to you. When you reach that level, money will show up, not because you asked for it, not because you need it, but because it needs you. Money follows value like a shadow, and when you radiate value at a level that transcends the ordinary, money becomes automatic. It becomes inevitable. So stop asking, "How do I get paid?" Start asking, "How do I become the kind of person who gets paid no matter where I am?" Stop wondering how to make a sale. Start building a character so trustworthy, so essential, so rare, that people feel compelled to buy from you before you even pitch. That kind of presence doesn't come from surface-level tactics. It comes from inner refinement. It comes from a mental and emotional furnace that has burned away all insecurity, all doubt, all distraction. That's how you become money, and the path begins with a single decision that you will stop chasing, that you will no longer be the beggar, that you will no longer reduce yourself to the role of the seeker. Instead, you will rise into the identity of the provider, the solution, the answer. Your life is not meant to be spent following dollars. It's meant to be spent building the kind of legacy that dollars follow. You don't become rich by asking for opportunities. You become rich by being the opportunity, and when you do, people will find you, markets will bend, circumstances will align, money will arrive, because it always arrives to those who are already standing in the place where it belongs. The man who becomes money no longer waits for the economy. He no longer panics over trends. He no longer tries to fit in with financial tides that fluctuate by the week. He is the economy. He sets the trend. He becomes the tide because he understands one law above all others. The source of wealth is not out there. It's inside. It's inside the way he thinks, the way he moves, the way he speaks, the way he executes, the way he prepares, the way he sacrifices. That's what money respects. And what money respects, it multiplies. You are not here to ask for a better paycheck. You are here to command a better life, not through arrogance, not through noise, but through quiet, disciplined dominance. Become so good, so valuable, so precise in your thinking and your craft, that they cannot ignore you, that they cannot replace you, that they cannot proceed without you. And when you get there, you'll understand the truth that most men die never knowing. You don't need to look for money when you are the money. You don't need to hustle for crumbs when you carry the bakery inside of you. You don't need to ask to be chosen when you already chose yourself. You weren't born to run after wealth. You were born to stand still in your power and let wealth run after you. That is the law. That is the code. That is the unseen truth that separates the chasers from the creators. And it begins the moment you stop looking out there and start building in here. You don't become money by chance. You become it by choice. By deliberate, focused, relentless choice. And once you become it, everything changes. Every dollar ever earned was first created in thought. Before currency changes hands, before contracts are signed, before markets move, before products are sold, there is a thought. A single, definite, dominating idea held with precision in the mind of a focused man. Money is not paper. Money is not metal. Money is not digital code on a screen. Money is an effect, a shadow, a consequence of thought translated into action through discipline, through sacrifice, through unshakable belief. And this is where the masses get it wrong. They chase money as if it were external, forgetting that every dollar in existence was born inside someone's mind. Your mind is the original mint. It prints wealth long before it shows up in your hands. You don't need permission. You don't need connections. You need clarity. You need obsession. You need an idea that you believe in so strongly, so completely, that it becomes your fuel. The average man lets his mind wander. The exceptional man commands his thoughts like a general leading an army. He knows the battlefield is within. If he can dominate it, he can dominate anything. Every mental habit you entertain is either printing prosperity or printing poverty. Every thought is a vote for who you become. You allow fear to linger in your mind, and you mint failure. You allow doubt, hesitation, comparison, and you mint scarcity. But when your mind holds thoughts of value, execution, service, precision, and abundance, you are engraving your wealth long before anyone sees a result. The world sees your income. What it doesn't see is the inner factory that produces it. The truth most people ignore is this: your current bank balance is the direct reflection of your dominant mental patterns, not your intelligence, not your job, not your past, your patterns. What you believe about money, what you expect from yourself, how you interpret failure, how you handle pressure, how you speak about success when nobody's listening, these things are shaping your reality more than your circumstances. Money flows to identity, not effort, and the identity of a man is shaped by the quality and consistency of his inner narrative. You cannot think like a servant and expect the rewards of a king. You cannot live as a victim and expect the freedom of a leader. The world doesn't pay you for your time. It pays you for the power you bring to your time. Two men work the same 8 hours. One earns a fortune, the other struggles. The difference isn't the clock, it's the consciousness. The thoughts held in silence are louder than the words shouted in meetings. The man who mints money from his mind is the man who trains it, disciplines it, sharpens it until it becomes an unstoppable weapon of focus, vision, and execution. The most powerful currency in the world is not money. It's self-belief, and self-belief is not hype. It is not shallow motivation. It is certainty born from evidence. You build it by showing up for yourself every single day, by making internal promises and keeping them, by designing your thoughts the way an architect designs a skyscraper, with intention, with vision, with structure. You no longer allow weakness to live in your mind. You evict distraction. You reject excuses. You eliminate the thought patterns that keep you small, because you know every time you tolerate a weak thought, you mint a weak result. People believe money is the reward for action. That's only half the story. Money is the reward for identity, because identity determines which actions you take, how consistently you take them, and how you carry them out. Two people can do the same thing. One gets average results. The other transforms their life. The difference is not the task, it's the person behind the task. Who you are when you speak, who you are when you sell, who you are when you create, who you are when you show up in adversity. That is the variable that shifts everything. You must understand, the man who earns millions didn't start by changing his income. He started by changing his identity, his thoughts, his self-image. He stopped seeing himself as someone trying to get rich and started seeing himself as someone who is rich in value, in strength, in leadership. That shift doesn't happen by accident. It happens through ruthless, consistent reconditioning of the mind. You do not wait for the world to label you. You label yourself, and then force the world to match it. Most people want a different life, but refuse to become a different person. They want higher income, but resist higher standards. They want to be paid more, but they think like consumers, not creators. They speak the language of limitation. They look at challenges and see obstacles instead of opportunities. They define themselves by past failures instead of future potential. Until you change yourself, definition, no change will last. You'll sabotage it. You'll return to the comfort of struggle, because that's what your identity is loyal to. You must ask yourself, who am I becoming? Because the version of you that is broke, frustrated, or stuck is not who you are meant to be. That version is a byproduct of lazy thinking, poor standards, and mental conditioning picked up from people who never broke through themselves. It's time to rewrite your identity at the root. You are not your failures. You are not your history. You are not your current income. You are whatever you decide to build, think, and believe with relentless consistency. Your income will never exceed the level of your identity for long. If you earn more than you believe you're worth, you'll find a way to lose it. If you land an opportunity you don't feel aligned with, you'll sabotage it. This is not theory, it is law. The mind protects the self-image. It enforces what you believe is true about you, and that belief sets the thermostat on your success. Until you raise the internal temperature, you will return to the same financial climate again and again. Your breakthrough begins with mental clarity. Sit in silence, ask yourself the hard questions. What do I truly believe I'm worth? What kind of man do I show up as when no one is watching? Do I speak with certainty or hesitation? Do I take full responsibility or find clever ways to avoid it? These answers will tell you everything about the results you're seeing, because the answers you give yourself shape the identity that shows up in the world. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. You don't become wealthy by demanding more from the world. You become wealthy by demanding more from yourself, from your standards, from your thoughts, from your habits. It's not about working harder, it's about becoming harder to stop. When your identity is solid, when your vision is anchored, when your thoughts are fortified, you become immovable. You stop chasing money and start commanding it through who you are. This is the game few are willing to play. They want shortcuts, hacks, loopholes, but money is loyal to identity. It stays where strength lives. It follows conviction. It clings to the man who knows himself, trusts himself, leads himself. That man becomes an asset in any room. He becomes rare, and what is rare becomes valuable, and what is valuable gets paid. Every single time, you train your mind until it no longer bends under pressure. You condition your thoughts until doubt gets no vote. You write your identity in stone and refuse to negotiate with the old version of yourself, because the world is not waiting for more talkers. It is waiting for builders, creators, leaders, those who have done the work internally and are now ready to walk as the embodiment of the wealth they already hold within. Wealth is not a destination, it is a reflection. It is the echo of a mind forged in clarity, precision, and fire. Your results are your report card, but your identity is the curriculum. The deeper you build it, the higher your life rises around you. Because once the man upgrades, the money has no choice but to follow. You are not paid for your time. You are paid for your value. Time is the equal possession of every man, but value is not. That's why one man earns more in an hour than another earns in a month. The time is the same, the man is not. The difference lies in the value he brings, and value is not a gift from others. It is something you build, you craft it, you mold it through repetition, through mastery, through the development of rare and indispensable skills. The world rewards the uncommon man because he brings uncommon solutions. If your compensation is low, it's not the fault of the world. It's not the fault of the economy. It's a signal. It's an alarm going off, letting you know your value must rise, that your thinking must sharpen, that your level must expand. The market doesn't care how long you've struggled. It doesn't pay you based on your hopes. It pays you in direct proportion to the value you offer and the problems you solve. If you want to earn more, serve deeper, understand people better, solve faster, think clearer, lead stronger, innovate instead of imitate. Most people want money without transformation. They want to earn without becoming. They expect the market to overlook their mediocrity and hand them gold. But gold does not move toward those who stay the same. It flows toward those who evolve. You become valuable by becoming rare. You become rare by going deeper than others are willing to go. You learn what others ignore. You do what others avoid. You build skills most never touch. And when you do this long enough, you become irreplaceable. The rare man is always in demand. He doesn't need to beg for opportunity. He becomes the opportunity. His phone rings. His inbox fills. His name travels where his feet have never walked because his value speaks even when he is silent. He can walk away from anything because he's built something no one can take from him, leverage. And leverage comes not from manipulation or shortcuts, but from the disciplined construction of power, mental power, strategic power, social power, spiritual power. You have to ask yourself daily, what am I truly worth? Not in theory, but in action. What can I solve that others can't? Where am I more skilled, more insightful, more effective? If the answer is nowhere, then the path is clear. It's time to build the value before you ask for the money. Become the asset before expecting the income. Develop the strength before expecting the crown. Nobody is coming to hand you permission to be great. The world responds to demonstrated value. The doors open not because you knock louder, but because you carry something rare. Stop focusing on getting rich. Focus on becoming valuable. Stop focusing on being liked. Focus on being respected. Stop focusing on what's in it for you. Focus on how deeply you can serve, because when your value becomes real, money becomes inevitable. It is a byproduct, not the pursuit, and the man who understands this plays a different game. He builds silently. He doesn't need applause. He doesn't need approval. His work becomes his signature. His results become his testimony. He speaks with execution, and the market listens. The truth is this: your bank account is a mirror reflecting your usefulness. If it's empty, fill it by becoming more useful. If it's full, expand it by scaling that usefulness. If you are invisible, it's because your value is still dormant. Dig deeper, sharpen harder, package better. Every hour spent complaining is an hour not spent creating. Every day you wish for more is a day you could have become more. The marketplace doesn't reward want. It rewards worth, not imaginary worth, but proven worth, demonstrated excellence, consistent delivery. Value is not talk. It's not potential. It's performance. It is the ability to step into chaos and bring order, to step into confusion and bring clarity, to step into a problem and deliver results. When you do this, money becomes your shadow. You don't even need to chase it. You just walk in alignment with your value and it follows. But if you reverse this, if you chase money without building the substance to back it, you'll repel it, you'll leak it, you'll lose it, because money is loyal to the man who doesn't need it to feel whole. You are either magnetizing money or repelling it. There is no neutral. You either attract it by your value, your presence, your excellence, or you push it away by your desperation, your mediocrity, your inconsistency. The man who builds himself into a magnet doesn't chase. He radiates. He emits strength. He transmits certainty. He has so much value inside him, so much internal pressure built up from his preparation, that results erupt from his very presence. This kind of man is rare. This kind of man is remembered. Chasing money is a weak strategy. It reveals a man who has not yet become. You only chase what is running away from you. If you are chasing money, it means it's fleeing. And if it's fleeing, it means you are not yet aligned with the frequency that attracts it. This is not mysticism. This is personal magnetism. The man who has done the internal work doesn't need to plead. He simply becomes. He sharpens his vision, he fortifies his identity, and the right people, the right deals, the right clients, the right ideas begin to gravitate toward him. Magnetism is built through discipline, through refinement, through mastery, through showing up when others quit, through saying no when others say yes to comfort, through hours of study, months of repetition, and years of building without recognition. Most will never magnetize money because most will never endure the internal fire required to generate that kind of presence. They want the results of the magnet without the intensity of the furnace. But heat creates pressure, and pressure creates diamonds. When a man walks into a room with real magnetism, people feel it. They may not even know why, but they lean in, they listen, they trust, because something about him says he's built for this. He's not pretending. He's not posturing. He is. And that identity does more for him than marketing ever could. That identity does more for him than ads, than strategies, than gimmicks. Because when you become the product, when you become the asset, the world responds to your very existence. Money, clients, influence, they all follow energy, and energy doesn't lie. You can fake words, you can copy branding, but you cannot fake energy. You cannot fake the decades of work someone has done to become the version of themselves they now present to the world. You can't copy the hunger, you can't replicate the pain, you can't clone the nights spent building when no one clapped, and that's why you can't steal the rewards. They belong to the man who became them. So instead of thinking about how to get money, think about how to become the kind of man who cannot be ignored. Instead of plotting ways to manipulate the market, become the kind of man the market is hungry for. Instead of lowering your price to attract the cheap, raise your presence to command the elite. When you stop begging and start becoming, when you stop performing and start radiating, when you stop chasing and start pulling, everything changes. Magnetism is quiet, but it is unmistakable. It's the energy of a man who has nothing to prove but everything to offer. It's the presence of someone who knows what he brings, who's paid the price, who's bled for his craft. You don't build this overnight. You build it in the dark, in the unseen hours, when no one's watching, when no one claps. That's where the real you is built, and that real version, the one forged in discomfort, pressure, and intention, is the version money follows. If you want to be rich, don't chase riches. Become rich in mind, in mastery, in movement. Become the man who has trained so intensely that the world cannot ignore him. Become so excellent in what you do that you no longer need to explain your value. It becomes self-evident, it becomes undeniable, it becomes magnetic. People start asking what you charge, they ask how to work with you, they seek you out, not because you shouted louder, but because you stood taller. Not because you marketed harder, but because you became more. You don't chase opportunities, you magnetize them by being ready for them. You don't chase partnerships, you attract them by being worthy of them. You don't chase impact, you become so powerful internally that impact radiates from your presence. You don't even need to try, you just walk, and everything you once ran after starts running after you. Because when you stop playing small, when you stop hiding, when you step fully into the wealth already inside you, the game changes forever. Not because the rules changed, but because you finally did stop chasing money and start becoming the person money is drawn to. True wealth isn't found, it's forged in discipline, developed through mastery, and sustained by unwavering value. When you elevate your thinking, sharpen your skills, and move with purpose, you no longer need to run after success. It begins to orbit around you. Become the asset, not the seeker. Build so much internal power that compensation, respect, and opportunity become your natural rewards. Don't look for money, become money. And when you do, the world will pay any price just to be in your presence.